Kick it off, DJ.
Innovation Network, Patrick and Aragorn lead the way. Exploring tech's future, what will they say? Inspiring change with vision so bright, our hosts guide you through the future's light. Bridging the gap of exponential growth, Patrick and Aragorn share the truth. Join our community, let's innovate. With Innovation Network, create a brighter face.
Goedemorgen, Patrick.
Good morning, Aragorn. I know that you have a completely new video setup over there. We see you now more on profile.
Yeah, I've tried to make some changes with the new camera to get a better angle, also for creating some more content. So yeah, that's what you're seeing.
And next time you're over here, we're going to take my my little office and in construction and improve it over here as well. So
I can't wait. I can't wait.
No, that's good. That's good.
So this was day 176 on trying new jingles.
I like this one, actually. The thing with Suno is that it creates, of course, longer tracks and not actually a jingle. So you have to manually kind of fade it out.
Yeah. Luckily, I have some really nice buttons for that.
I still haven't found an AI tool to create a jingle, a specific jingle. So if anybody's out there knowing a tool, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I haven't really tried 11 Lamps SFX feature for special effects, but I guess that's also not specifically for jingles. So yeah.
Hey, let's dive into it, Aragorn. There's a lot of cool news in the past 2 weeks again. So let me see if I can share a screen. A couple of days ago, Connect 2024, and new,
what an event he was.
Revived Mark Zuckerberg on the screen.
Yeah. This man is. This man is making moves. This man, as people put it online, he's been cooking in silence.
Yeah, I saw another interesting quote. The more humane, the more, what was it? Can't think of it, but the more intelligent AI becomes, the more humane Mark Zuckerberg gets.
Oh yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah. Oh my God, it is. It would be less funny if it weren't so true. But actually, the interesting thing. So here's a little nugget for people. So if you haven't already heard it, he introduced some incredible new augmented reality glasses, which are not a consumer product at this point. No. They're a prototype, and billions have been spent on creating these. In his own words, the most advanced augmented reality smart glasses, or actually the most advanced piece of consumer tech ever to be created. And I would agree, but they were called Orion. Now, I don't know if this is a coincidence, but just so you know, the internal code name from OpenAI for their next level, next gen artificial intelligence, GPT-5, is or was also Orion. So I don't know if he decided last minute to kind of play a joke on them to kind of steal that name for a product so they can't use it, or whether it's just pure coincidence because they're thinking along the same lines, but I thought that was pretty funny.
What does it mean, Orion definition?
Well, Orion is, of course, it's a star cluster or belt.
Yes, exactly.
In the night sky. So I guess it's like the belt on the Egyptian, the belt of Orion, right? So it's a constellation. So I don't know if it has anything to do with that. But I wouldn't be surprised.
And it's also a giant hunter slain by Artemis in the Greek mythology, I see here. That doesn't help us either.
Yeah. But anyway, these glasses, super advanced, super incredible. Obviously, for me, I don't know how you feel about it, but on the one hand, I'm not surprised at all, right? I knew this was coming. I've been saying this was coming. In fact, if anything, I'm surprised that it's already here, because I initially said, 2 to 5 years when I first started talking about this, probably around 2021 end of, that this was on the horizon at that point. However, I've been thinking about it, and maybe my timeline is still pretty correct, because he introduced this, he showed us, but it's not a consumer product, right?
No.
So I said 2 to 5 years in 2021 first, probably. We're now in 2024, so we're 3 years on. The product has been shown to the public. That means that it can still come to the public in the next 2 years. That would make it 5 years, and so I'll still be pretty much on track with that.
And it goes pretty fast, right? If you look at, so the details that they still want to work on. So the price tag as it is now is around 10,000 US dollars. It's a little bit too big, and it also contains something that you have to wear on your wrist for the compute and the calculations. But still, even if
No,
you see the
those are
pictures,
those are two different things. So you have a wristband like this one,
yeah,
which is a neural interface, which basically reads your hand movements so that you can control it, which is a super advanced piece of tech, which I think will separately come to market. And then there's the puck, which does the compute offloading, which
where is
I
the puck
think.
stored? I thought the puck was in the wrist. Where's the puck then?
No, the puck is not in the wrist. The puck is a separate device, and it's about the size of a smartphone, and you have to keep it in your pocket. And
Okay.
the biggest reason for the puck is the compute. But I believe that we will see that the puck will turn into a smartphone.
Exactly.
So what I mean by that is that rather than having a separate puck, I think that we'll see a transition over the next few years as the product gets further developed, where anybody's smartphone will start to take over the compute. And maybe smartphones of this moment can't do that, but next generation smartphones with new AI chips will be able to do that. Or maybe Meta will even collaborate on that. But I think having a puck and a smartphone together would not make any sense. And if the smartphone functions as the puck, that would make exactly sense, because that's what I've been saying as well. I've said that the smartphone won't disappear, and I still maintain that, despite Mark saying that they think this will replace the smartphone. I think the smartphone will still stay around for the next 10 years, maybe, but the smartphone will become an edge computing device, right? So it will become a hub for a lot of the compute and for running AI models that you use through wearables. But you won't take your phone out of your pocket so much anymore. And maybe we'll even get phones that look more like a puck than a phone, because they don't have a screen anymore, because much of the screen kind of interactions take place through AR glasses or other devices. I'm not sure on that, but that's how I think about it.
And another point that is quite interesting is that Meta is quite capable of creating a consumer product for a reasonable price, right? If you compare what the Apple Vision Pro price tag was, somewhere in the range of 3,000 kind of US dollars or euros, they are able to put a VR device, a very strong VR device with the Meta Quest 3 in there for $399. And if they can repeat that, and basically the Ray-Ban glasses that they put on the market are also reasonably priced for an AR device. And that's the price range that we need for these kind of products to go mainstream and really make a pivot to the consumer market.
Yeah, and I think that what makes this extra interesting is that so far Meta has never been able to get in on the consumer hardware market, because obviously they came from the software side, and by the time they were at the point where they could even try, that market was already dominated by giants, and even Microsoft failed, right? But now we're seeing the initial phases of a paradigm shift in how we use devices and what devices we use. So this opens up a lot of opportunities. Yes. And we've seen Apple fail time and time again. Of course, I like to bring this up,
Yep.
But we've seen Apple fail now time and time again to innovate. We've seen Apple fail completely this year to introduce anything that is even remotely interesting as a new type of product. And people that say, well, Vision Pro was incredible. Vision Pro was €3,500 and its development, or dollars, and its development has already been scrapped. And they claim they're working on a cheaper, smaller model. But, let's face it, in that field, Meta is leaps and bounds ahead. So
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
really years ahead. From the
yeah,
moment they kind of rebranded Meta, they were already working on Horizon. They already had
yeah,
purchased Oculus, had all the people working on that. Yeah,
yeah.
way ahead.
Yeah, and I think that that is important as well, exactly to mention. I think that what people don't realize is that when Mark Zuckerberg renamed the company to Meta, everybody criticized him. I also did, because I felt it was a little bit of a cheap attempt to hijack the term Meta, just like Apple tried to hijack the term AI. But maybe, maybe I misjudged it a little bit. But he did get a lot of flack. Then when the metaverse seemed to not take off, right? People criticized him and said, "See, it's all hype, it's all bullshit." And then what I love is that Mark played along with that, made everybody believe that he basically given up on the thing that he called his company after, made it seem like he pivoted all the way to AI. And it now shows that he knew all along that the metaverse and AI are inevitably two parts of the same body, right? The two parts of the same paradigm shift. AI, augmented reality, virtual reality, 3D worlds, right, are all part of our increasing journey towards a more digitalized society. And he knew that, and he's working on that future directly. And I think that in this way, he's now the leading tech CEO in the
No,
industry.
I agree. And let's look at a couple of videos from other aspects of Connect 2024, because he shows also how automatic language translations are playing a role in that as well, and using of the Llama 3.2 model. So I have one here. Let's give it a...
Mi lengua materna es el español, pero fíjate, ahora también puedo hablar inglés a través del doblaje automático de IA. My native language is Spanish, but check it out. Now I can also speak English through AI automatic dubbing.
Yeah, so he literally just killed multiple companies. Well, maybe not killed. Maybe let's not over exaggerate. But he is throwing a wrench into the wheels of half a dozen AI startups from the last few years. I mean, even if I just look at, I use captions all the time, right? Which was originally only on iPhone and only mobile and only for 3 minutes videos, and now it's for 5. But I'm using it a lot and I like it. But a big part of that, and we use Descript as well, but a big part of that is dubbing and is transcription and is subtitles. But he's clearly showing us here his intentions, right? We're going to see all of these features that we're now using different apps for are all going to be included in Instagram.
Yeah.
Which, and even if it's in Instagram and not on TikTok, for example, right? That still means that any content creator could just put their content on Instagram first and download that video, then put that on TikTok, and they wouldn't necessarily need to have a subscription for captions or anything like that. So
no, exactly, including apps like 11 Labs or all these kind of video generation. Make a small video of yourself and then you have a digital avatar. All those kind of apps are basically also replaced, because everybody is on Messenger, everybody is using Instagram, so that's quite easy for him to kind of replace.
Yeah, and the thing is that ultimately, I mean, these kind of features, if they're integrated, there's a handful of core features that you want that are really important to anybody and everybody. But the quality level of those has a certain kind of, cap, right? I mean, once your translation is good enough and perfect enough, and the subtitles look good enough, and the lip syncing is good enough, and the voice mimicking is good enough, that's it. Like, that's what you need. Right?
Yeah.
There's no real additional features on top of that would really would make you want to switch to like a separate app, unless there's a completely new kind of paradigm in social media. So
let's take it one step further and take that same translation feature and then move it to a 3D avatar, which is now being viewed through the Orion glasses.
Hey, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo está tu rodilla? ¿Has vuelto a entrenar?
Hey, how are you? How is your knee back training?
Doing well. Knee is doing well. It feels strong. I'm ramping up training. How are you doing? Are you getting ready for your next fight?
Haciendo bien. La rodilla está haciendo bien y sentirse fuerte.
So today we are dropping a limited edition of clear, transparent frames. I think this is neat because it's
Yeah, I'm probably getting those. Yeah, so this is just another. I mean, of course, we've already seen some of this kind of technology in the wild, right? But the crazy thing is that this is Meta introducing the Meta Ray-Bans, which they did last year, now introducing live translations, which is basically Star Trek's Universal Translator or a Babelfish kind of tech. But here's the crazy thing. Google was already working on a prototype for this 5 or 6 years ago, right?
As they were with Google Glass, right? Yeah.
Yeah, in my very first version of my keynote on the Metaverse in 2021, I was already showing a video, which at the time was already 2 or 3 years old, from Google showcasing glasses that would show subtitles in the screen and do live translation for people, which at the time was already incredible. But they did nothing with it. Nothing. They just did nothing with it. They just sat on it. This is what blows my brain. But anyway, Mark is killing it because this is going to be massive, right?
And
this
just
is
imagine, I don't have the numbers right, but how many millions, even billions, he blew away is basically the narrative of the media in the metaverse. But he didn't blow it away. It was all trial and error getting to this point, improving this stack and believing in that vision. And you can see it in his performance as well, the way that he is standing there with a "I told you so" kind of smile, which is which I really like that. How many people have not spoken so badly about this guy, and he's still standing, and he comes up with something pretty impressive. So kudos to him. I really like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's this part that is a little bit flying under the radar. Maybe I should first show you this video, Aragorn. This is
right. You're in this constant conversation with the machine.
This new form of control, it requires us to build an interface that adapts to you and your environment.
Everything starts with a click.
The intelligent click is the ability to do these highly contextual actions.
Let me pause it for a second here, because what you see here, this video, is actually a video from 2001. It's a video that's been floating around, where we both had it in our keynotes for quite some time, that you could control with movements of your fingers and a brain activation, the interface of your device. And now let's take a look at the keynote.
I think that you need a device that allows you to just send a signal from your brain to the device. So this isn't just the first full screen, full wide field of view holographic AR glasses. This is also the first device that is powered by our wrist-based neural interface. We do still have a few things that...
So it's the same video, that's what you're saying.
Sorry, I was messing up the video displays here a little bit. What did you say, Aragorn?
So you're saying it's the same video, or what was your point?
So the point was in 2001 they already had this prototype tech, and now we're 2 years later, and it's actually in the product. And it really goes, they only spent a minute or something about it in the keynote, but this is crucial. The way that you can control the device, because now if you have the device on, you have to type. Usually you have a virtual keyboard in front of you, and you have to type with your fingers. And that is always difficult, especially then you have to type in a complicated password or something. The alternative is that you have to speak to an AI. Now, we've both tried that with Siri, and she doesn't properly understand you, so that's also frustrating. And now he comes up with this very smooth motion. You just roll your fingers, and the wrist motion detects that you, for instance, are scrolling through a screen. And that is a very strong feature that will also help to get this mainstream. You need a different way of controlling these glasses.
Absolutely.
That's the point.
And so there's quite a few things to unpack here, and why it matters is because this is the first inkling that we're getting at really a paradigm shift in user interfacing and user experience, and that will roll out over the next decade, 100% certain. But a few things to unpack. One, I already had Mayo wristbands that were very chunky, big wristbands with kind of magnets for around your arm to do this in 2012, I think, maybe even earlier, maybe even already 2010. That's as early as they came on Kickstarter. And those already did this rudimentary, but then they kind of disappeared. I still probably have them, one of them floating around here somewhere. And in fact, Meta bought that company, I think, and further developed that technology. So they've been working on that for over a decade. Two, if you watch The Peripheral on Amazon, which unfortunately got canceled, but that is a series based on books by Neil Stephenson, William Gibson. And in fact, in that series, they do this. Right, this guy from the future is using these kind of motions to control devices. Right, so you see, this is another thing that science fiction envisioned that they're now making real. And then finally, I think that you're making such a good point, because people tell me, "Oh, but we're never going to replace tactile keyboards because people like touching a keyboard." And when we tried the laser keyboards, 10 years ago, they also didn't pick up. But the mistake people make is that the situation is different. If you can easily be in one place where you have access to a keyboard and you can put one down, then yes, you will prefer a tactile one. But if you're moving out on the street and you're using augmented reality glasses, or if you're in virtual reality, right, and you're walking around the room and you want to engage and interact with things, and you're not going to carry around a physical keyboard, right? So you will have to make some kind of compromise. So if you then, for the convenience of the situation and the ease of use, it's not only logical that you compromise on the tactile feedback that you get from a physical device. And then suddenly these devices make total sense. Because if you have two wristbands and you don't need to hold anything, and you have, pinpoint accurate kind of interpretation of the signals that you're sending by making your movements, then suddenly interacting with holograms in space, just like we see a Minority Report where he's wearing these crazy little gloves that cover the two top fingers, makes total sense, right? So this is literally a Minority Report kind of interface. And the reason why this makes sense is because you won't be using it in a stationary manner where you stand behind the same desk or sit behind the same desk all day. And therefore you will be willing to give up that tactile feedback for those for that kind of scenario. And that's important to realize.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a smart move for companies to think ahead and start playing with these devices already. I had some personal experience with that as well. If you want to use these type of devices and work with a company like Meta, Meta is not so good in a B2B environment. They are very much a consumer company, but they bring out these devices in developer mode. So if somebody would be interested in finding out what best use cases for their company would be, it would be smart to get a couple of these devices now. Okay, they're 10K, but if you don't need that much to play with it internally. You need a team of people that understands how to create 3D environments, to think about use cases that you are planning to put forward. But get your hands on it now, so you have the experience to quickly pivot once these things become generally available, and you can roll out your use cases as a company.
Well, I mean,
shipping in AR or shopping in AR, Aragorn is going to be huge, right? So you're walking down the street, you see maybe a store with a product, and you can see the best price range. You click on it, you purchase it with one click, or you don't even see it in a store. You see it on the street. I see you wearing a nice jacket, and I want the same jacket, and you can purchase it like that. That's going to be the retail of the future.
Yeah. Well, I think. I mean, we covered quite a few things from Meta Connect here, but if I go over them one by one, I'd say augmented reality glasses, we won't be seeing them adopted by consumers massively in the next year, right? But in 2 to 5 years, we will be. So companies should start thinking about how they might use them at that time. And even if they come out and they're still rather expensive and not available to anybody, then if you're the first company to, for example, have these glasses in your store or provide experiences where people can access these glasses and have an experience with them, then that in that small window of time when this kind of technology is introduced can help you to position yourself as a brand that is favorable for these new kind of engagement and interactions. And you can create a new type of experience for your consumers by being an early adopter. And you can start thinking about that now.
Yeah.
As for the video dubbing, this is of course massive for marketing teams around the world, right? You should start preparing for this right now, because even content that you create today, if you think carefully about how you create that content, then that same content in 6 or 12 months from now, when this kind of feature gets rolled out, can still be valuable, can be reused. There's probably some really creative ways in which you can benefit from taking into account how this is going to work out now.
And that technology is available now, right? So we should separate that from the AR glasses. That's available now. Yeah,
absolutely. Next one that we covered was, of course, the AR translations. Well, that's going to be big for the traveling industry. I think it's going to be, open up a whole new bunch of potential opportunities for helping people. Definitely in the office. I mean, think about international companies. Think about international companies that employ these kind of glasses to create better interactions between their own employees, even from different nationalities, or customer service experiences. I don't know. There's so many ways this could be implemented. The neural wristband, that's a tougher one. I think this is going to be very important for tech companies and for how people interact with their devices. But don't think as a normal company right now there's anything you can do to really prepare for that.
Shall we move on to the next topic, Ara?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anything I forgot that needs to be mentioned, but I think we are...
Absolutely. There's so many angles about this, but I'm sure we're going to talk about these glasses in augmented reality for on a bi-weekly basis. So, yeah. But one of the things that is important here as well is, for instance, the release of Unity 6, the 3D engine from Unity. And also here a small video to show you how nicely that looks. Well,
can you turn the audio down a little bit if you're playing it?
Yeah, let's try. Do it for the next video. Yeah.
Yeah. So what can I say? I mean, obviously, this isn't necessarily directly a result of AI, but it is very important to notice that that Unity 6 is making again a massive stride in terms of the capabilities of generating photorealistic environments and assets. Of course, we have on the one hand the development with AI being able to render 3D worlds and render 3D videos and images, but I think that there's still there's quite some distance to go with that kind of technology. And even if it would be mature today, I think there are still a lot of use cases in which you want to be able to have full control over how you create worlds. So this technology will remain very important, especially for the creation of 3D assets for augmented and virtual reality, also for the gaming industry and for other assets, like, for example, creating training scenarios, photorealistic training scenarios for companies, and simulation of three-dimensional simulations of worlds or assets or factories as such. And Unreal Engine was, of course, a market leader. Unity has seen some Unity has seen some backlash of how they have engaged with their developer community because they changed the pricing structures recently. But the fact remains that Unity is the only and biggest competitor of Unreal Engine. And of course, we benefit as consumers from having two competitors working on this. And Unity is also still the biggest if it comes to mobile devices, right? Unreal Engine definitely rules on console and PC, but mobile devices are much ruled still by Unity. So to see that they're making these incredible strides as well alongside Unreal Engine is good for everybody, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's put the screen back up, Aragorn, and go to the next one, because Sam Altman has written a blog, and it is again a little bit messy in the management team of OpenAI. So let's talk a little bit about that. So a couple of people are again leaving, right?
Yes.
Mira Murati is leaving. Two other people are leaving the company. What's your takeaway from that, Aragorn?
Yes, I find it really hard to say. I've read online a lot. Excuse me. I've looked online and I've read a lot of the different views and opinions of people that I respect in the industry and their thoughts on what's going on at OpenAI. And it ranges from Mira Murati is leaving because she sees how much money there is to be made and she chose her family and her future, to Mira Murati is leaving because she no longer trusts Sam Altman and he's turning into a crazy megalomaniac. So I just...
Yeah. So, and this is a strange spectrum, right? On one end, I can understand the amount of pressure. Just imagine if you're at the head of the helm of OpenAI. A normal CEO of a large company already has so much on his or her plate. This company is so influential in the world. So taking a step down and thinking about something else or your own path, I can really imagine that. Then, on the other hand, if you look at the pivot that they currently are making from a non-profit organization to a profit organization, the amount of money that is involved there, 7 billion and already a 150 billion evaluation for the company. That's the other end of the spectrum, right? And a lot of people are leaving the organization.
Yeah. So I don't know 100% for certain, but I also read that the original founders only equated 7% of the total equity already at this point, even if they were all on board. If that's true, then yeah, I just don't know. Is that even correct? I'm saying this. Maybe we need to cut this because I have no idea. I read that somewhere. Maybe we should check that. Maybe I will check that right now. How much of OpenAI's equity is in the hands of the original founders? Let's see. OpenAI is considering offering Altman 7% equity stake. Okay.
Yeah, that is floating around at the moment. He already rebuked that. He said it was ridiculous to get 7% of that, which I agree that is ridiculous.
Well, the thing that let's at least mention this. The thing that I know about Sam Altman is that he has time and time again said, I am already filthy rich. Well, that's not his words, but that's what he said.
Yeah, that's the meaning of what he said. Yeah.
I'm already filthy rich. I don't need the money. This is not why I'm doing it. No. And honestly, I have seen no reason not to believe him. Right? This man has no trouble with his personal finance. He has multiple villas. He can buy anything he wants in the world. He's not just a millionaire. He has hundreds of millions, right, already. And he has no trouble raising money for anything he wants to do or finding investors. So it seems to me that it's very unlikely that this man is motivated by money, right? So I just don't believe that that's the case.
No, but why then pivot to this profit structure if he doesn't have any issues with finding funds to do what they are doing?
I think that he feels that in some ways they're not moving fast enough because of the non-profit nature in terms of how they compare to the competition. This is the best idea I have at this moment. I think that he is looking at the competition and he feels that OpenAI is trying to maintain a lead with one hand tied behind its back, whereas the competition don't give a shit. They are just doing it for the monies, and they're just going for it.
Yeah, but
So I think
that
he's
one
trying to.
hand tied behind the back could turn out to be a very risky move, right? I really love the fact that they were all those time non-profit. If we now have a couple of shareholders with this large stake in there, that could be risky as well, Aragorn.
Is it? I mean, I was on Reddit yesterday, right? I've decided to take an interest in this particular social media, which so far hadn't. But I was on the Singularity Reddit, and there was this incredible meme there. I can't find it right now, but it's a meme there that said every other tech company developing AI for profit. Oh, I'm sleeping great at night. OpenAI pivoting to for profit. Oh my God, the world's on fire. And this is the truth. Like, nobody gave a shit when Facebook was doing it for profit. Nobody gave a shit when Google was doing it for profit. Nobody gave a shit when Microsoft was doing it for profit.
That's not completely true. I for me personally, I did give a shit. But what else can you do? There's nothing else. That my hope was kind of on OpenAI to do it in a different way. We all know that if you give too much power, it always corrupts, right? You know the saying, and if absolute power absolutely corrupts, that is the danger in here, right?
I'm not saying that's not right. In fact, I believe it's true. But I also believe that there's a very strong argument to be made that if you're competing with companies that play by less rules than you, then it becomes increasingly hard to win, right? And so if you're Sam Altman, right? Because that's what you need to do. You need to put yourself in his feet, in his shoes. If you're Sam Altman, you're the leading AI company in the world. You believe that we can achieve artificial general intelligence. You believe that that will completely transform the world. You also believe that with it comes existential risk, and that whoever controls it will be in a position to take over control of the entire world. And I know this sounds like a science fiction movie. But if you know that, do you really want to risk losing that race because you're playing with one hand behind your back? I think that what we're seeing here is not because Sam Altman wants to have money or is power hungry. I think it's simply a matter of an arms race. This is literally an arms race.
Well, it is an arms race. That's for sure. But maybe he doesn't need to be first, close second with a different kind of intelligence or a different value set. Could be a play as well.
Come on, Patrick, you don't believe this. There's only one winner. There's no second places. Absolutely not with AI. I don't.
So why
don't believe that.
So you think if OpenAI wins, the AI of Google or Microsoft or Amazon, etc., are going to vanish? No, they're going to coexist all together, right? That's they quickly learn from each other. They all will be. There will be multiple AGIs.
I'm not talking about multiple AIs. I'm talking about AGI.
Yeah, multiple AGIs.
The first company that reaches
AGI.
Yeah, no, but I'm totally with Nick Bostrom on this. So Nick Bostrom in his book Superintelligence, he talks about how whatever company reaches AGI first will get a head start that will be nobody will be able to catch up to that. Yeah. It will simply be impossible because if you have a self-improving, self-iterating AGI and then superintelligence, any head start, even a head start of a few seconds, will translate to something that can never be compensated for by any other AI AGI. It's just not feasible, right? So
we don't know that yet. I disagree. We don't know that yet. We don't know what the capability one AGI.
Well, even if it doesn't matter if we know it, it doesn't matter if we know it. It matters if people believe it. I believe it. Ray Kurzweil believes it. Nick Bostrom believes it, and I can guarantee you 100% that Sam Altman believes it, right? So what you think we know or do not know doesn't matter, because if this is what Sam Altman believes, and again I'm saying put yourself in his shoes, even if he isn't sure, but he recognizes the possibility, right? Let's say that he recognizes that there is a 10% chance that if the company to first create AGI will gain a head start that will never be, so nobody can catch up, even if it's just a 10% chance, would you just risk it and keep playing with one hand behind your back? Of course not. I mean, during the Cold War, there was like a 2% chance of the Russians invading America, and the Americans spent trillions upon trillions to this very day on their defense budget.
Let's step in the shoes of Ilya Sutskever. And he left the company, and there were all kinds of debates why he did that. There was a big group of people saying that it was because of the safety of the AGI that was being built. He now has a recent capital injection of $5 billion to build his own with a different set of rules. He knows perfectly well what the trajectory of OpenAI is. Why would he then do it? He is already behind. So if it doesn't make any sense to build anything relevant to AGI on his behalf.
That's a big difference. That's a very big difference because Sam Altman is the CEO. Ilya Sutskever was the mastermind behind the GPT. He was their lead scientist. He is literally the mind, the most important mind in the whole process of creating the leading machine learning transformer large language model in the world. He believes that he has the key. He literally believes, and he's written this because he's made several tweets about it, he believes that he has the key to finding the next quantum leap in this kind of model building. So there's a big difference there. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this ties into why Sam Altman made the decision that he made. Because imagine that your genius mastermind, who literally was one of the most important players in creating your leading AI model, walks away and says, I'm going to start my own company. And I have something I haven't told you about, and I think that that's going to change it. And you've worked with this guy for 10 years, and you know how bloody genius he is. Are you going to be sitting back and waiting for him to beat you to the punch if you already disagreed about how you're going to take things? I don't know, man. Wouldn't be me.
Yeah, you don't give me a very comfortable feeling about this whole situation if you play it out like that. I also don't think that intelligence is the only component in being successful. There's way more to that than just being intelligent. And maybe we should also consider the fact that maybe AGI cannot be contained. That's not what I'm saying. But we have different regions building different stuff and could be disconnected from each other. And maybe that's also a nice pivot while talking about OpenAI and talking about the advanced voice mode. You over this weekend had made a nice post that was very much appreciated by the community about getting access to the advanced voice mode. Because then again, Europe is not going to win this battle if we stay on this path. That's for sure, right? That might be bad. Let's not go into that right now.
This is another one. I do want to go into it because I've been laughing very loudly for the last 24 hours, and I've also been crying because the internet is being flooded with jokes and memes about how superintelligence will never come out of Europe and how AGI will never be achieved in Europe. Europe, with the OpenAI advanced voice mode rollout, it's become very clear overnight to everybody how EU is smothering innovation, smothering artificial intelligence, killing the baby in the crib for a whole continent when it comes to this technology. And it's just extremely painful, right? And what we're seeing today is literally what I said, is that when they were drafting this legislation, they were drafting legislation for something that they didn't understand, and they were drafting legislation for something that would change so incredibly fast that by the time this legislation would be enacted, it would already be outdated. And that's literally what's going on now, because now we have legislation that is prohibiting EU from using...
Wait. I think you downplay the people that are trying to do their best to find a solution to also counter for the dangers of AI. You're kind of now on a rant. Just if it's an arms race, everything is allowed.
No, but I don't agree with what you're saying. Right? I don't agree with what you're saying. From what I've seen, the people that have been involved in drafting the AI Act in Europe, none of them have the smallest inkling of this technology or where it's headed or what it could do. The only people involved with it have been bureaucrats and people that have an opinion, and none of them have the necessary content.
You don't know that they have been that technology goes faster than they anticipated, and decision making on what they have tried to come up with is not in parallel with the speed. I completely agree with that there. but that these people have no clue what they are doing. They might not be the smartest people on the level of Ilya Sutskever, but they at least have communication with them, and there are some pretty smart people there. They're not complete no-nos doing that.
I think a lot of people were involved here, and of course I don't have a list here and names, and I haven't done all the background checks, so I might be wrong. It's possible, but from what I can see, I think that and what I've seen in the AI kind of space over the last 2 years is that there's a lot of people that have been involved with artificial intelligence over the past years in very official positions, working at universities, but they've been focused on areas of artificial intelligence or even machine learning that are so fundamentally different from what is now the leading kind of development and stream in technology. They might as well have been on another planet, but these people would never admit that, and so now they're involved in decision-making processes, in drafting legislation on something that they don't really comprehend. It's like, I mean, in my keynote, I talked about this, right? Up until 2017, the whole field of artificial intelligence was all these different islands. You had computer vision, you had voice synthesis, you had natural language processing, but all of them worked on completely different kind of models and they literally had jargon that they couldn't even talk to each other if they were in different fields, right?
All right.
But all of these people are now AI experts. And so everybody that isn't an AI expert and talks to these people thinks that, this guy or this woman or this person must know what they're talking about. But that's simply not the case. But a lot of these people have been involved in this legislation drafting because they want to remain relevant, right? They want to remain relevant, even if they don't know what they're really talking about, if they don't really understand.
It's very easy from this perspective to talk about it. It is a completely different thing to kind of think up a model that would work. If I approach it from a different angle and I look at the AI Act, I've been reading it last week again, and they have flagged an unacceptable risk for a couple of utilizations of AI. And one of them is behavioral manipulation. And either way you slice and dice it, I think it's good to think about how AI systems can manipulate behaviors of people. And that's exactly the point where now AI advanced mode is struggling with. And I agree, it's fucking frustrating. You want to have immediately the advanced voice mode, and we can handle that. But it does cross that border why it's now prohibited in the EU. In the EU. So I don't have the answer as well about that, but I do think it's smart to have people reason about it and think about that.
There's one of my favorite fantasy series, and there's a rule, the Wizard's second rule. And the Wizard's second rule is the greatest harm can result from the best intentions. What I'm seeing is that when social media rolled out, right, and they started using algorithms to kind of, analyze our behaviors and then devise ways to kind of use that to sell us more products. Nobody gave a shit. The EU did nothing. They didn't pay any attention to it. And now when we have a new technology being rolled out, the trauma and their failure from this first time is being used as an excuse to overreach and go completely the other way and overdo it. And now it's going to result in a whole continent of people being excluded from what might well be the most important technological paradigm shift in human history. Because
with that I agree, Aragorn. With that I agree. That we don't have a debate on that. It's just not, you're putting away these people as if they didn't try an effort and don't know what they're talking about. But it's a big range of people with different values and a way of looking at that, right?
There might be a few people in there that know what they're doing, but the European Union, if anything, has shown lately that it's a massively bureaucratic organization. And what I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years being more and more involved in this industry is that there's a load of people that are involved in all of these official functions and organizations. Like even in the Netherlands, what's it called? The AI Association or whatever it's called. I don't know. I've met a lot of the people that are involved with that organization, and half of them have no idea. No, these are just opportunists. These are just people that maybe they're not evil, but they're excited about this. They want to get involved with it, but they haven't even read more than 3 books on the topic, right? But they are presenting themselves as experts. They are presenting themselves as, I mean, in all honesty, I see people out there now that present themselves as AI ethics experts, right? And honestly, I don't know based on what they claim to be these experts. I don't. I'm not seeing it, right? For every 5 AI experts out there, there's 4 that are just charlatans. This is the truth. That's why I don't call myself an AI expert.
But even if you're not an AI expert, maybe we could pivot to the literal explanation on how people then get access to the advanced voice mode from OpenAI if you are in the Netherlands.
You want to have a nice conversation. Okay.
Exactly. no, because you made your point, I made your point, you keep on repeating. So we both made our points. Let's go to the next topic as well.
Fair enough. Yeah, I had strong feelings about that. So you want me to explain how to get access? Well, first of all, this is a disclaimer because I keep getting confusing messages. Yesterday, people told me, I have access without using a VPN, virtual private networking, right? Split tunneling, as I explained, where you ensure that one app goes through a proxy in another country, which allows you, for example, on your phone, if you're using NordVPN, to route ChatGPT through Canada. And then if you route ChatGPT through Canada, you get access to the advanced voice model if you are a subscriber. However, people keep posting videos claiming that they don't need to do that. This morning, I saw Jarno Duursma, our colleague in the Netherlands, post a video where he also had a nice chat with ChatGPT. And he made no mention of using a VPN. Now, as far as I know, OpenAI has not made advanced voice mode available in the EU because of the AI Act, which we just had a massive conversation around. So as far as I know, it shouldn't be possible. The only way to do it is to use VPN, right? If you don't know how to use VPN, you can look that up using Perplexity or ChatGPT.
Or the video that you just recently posted that we will link to. We have that discussed then. Maybe it's time to wrap it up with 2 small innovations, or is there more on your plate that you want to discuss?
Well, we need to discuss why the advanced voice mode matters for companies, for example. Now, of course, a lot of people are afraid of, data problems and issues if you use these advanced AI models. Now, first of all, I think that the risk of that is extremely overstated, unless you are a massive multinational where your competitors are really, have it out for you and would try to kind of jailbreak these models to get your information. I don't think you really have anything to seriously worry about, because the necessary mechanics that somebody would have to go through to even attempt at trying to get any of your information out of a model are very, very complicated, excessive, and unlikely to yield the results specifically that they might be after. So you don't have to be too afraid of it. And on the other side of that, there's lots of stuff you can do without sharing valuable or sensitive data with an AI. I think people should be trying out the advanced voice mode. It's truly, truly, truly incredible. Even if you're not trying it out for your work, right? I spent yesterday talking hours and hours and hours to this AI, and I was truly blown away by its capability of having a real conversation and explaining things to you and helping me with stuff. And I learned to use all kinds of tools and do all kinds of things in a matter of hours, because I basically had a private tutor that was so good at engaging with me. And if you're not trying this stuff out, you're literally missing out on us stepping into the future.
And I completely agree with that. So people should definitely try it out, if only for knowing what the level of the advanced skill mode is, right? You have to see it to believe. You have to narrate and talk to AI for a long time to see that. But then the real business cases are also evident, right? So why are we still struggling with all these chatbots, text-based, that do not give you the answer if you have any situation with a product or any help that you need? these type of bots can, in a very natural human way, explain you and help you and guide you through any technical issue or product issue that you have. And we will soon see much more of that. So that is maybe for companies one of the biggest reasons to go in that. It can help on improving the quality of service, improving the quality of sales, improving the quality of maintenance. Any help desk type of question that you have to an organization can just be put on steroids, literally.
Absolutely.
In the way also, and this is the big benefit of understanding. If I would like to talk to a male voice or a female voice in whatever language or whatever tone that I would appreciate, that just warms up the entire conversation.
Yep.
So I totally agree with that. Yeah.
I would like to, however, point out, if you're in sales, if you're in customer service, you got to check this out. You've got to be realistic with yourself, right? There's a very serious chance that your job will disappear within the next 2 to 5 years because of this, right? So you need to start thinking about that. And I know that a lot of people will not be happy to hear this. They will not be happy to take this serious. They will be worried about their future. And I understand that absolutely. And that's why I'm telling you, you just need to start thinking about your future today, because even though all of this technology will lead us to what I believe can be a much better world for everybody, there will be a transition phase that will hit some people harder than others. And if you're in a job that requires these kind of skills, to be on a phone or in a chat call or whatever, where you have normal natural language engagement with a client and you're supposed to work in these digital systems, even if it's sales where you believe that your personal relationship or your warm interactions make all the difference, try out advanced chat mode with ChatGPT and you'll realize after a few minutes that there's absolutely no way that your job is going to exist 5 to 10 years from now. And you need to take that serious.
That does not only count for sales, service, and marketing, right? That goes for more jobs across the board.
It goes for a lot of jobs. I mean, analysts are also going to disappear, but I think these will be on the front lines of this transition and this mass job displacement that's on the horizon. Yep. Yeah. Okay, then, well, like you said, we need to wrap it up. But I would like to at least make mention of NotebookLM, which we will be using to process today's newsletter recording.
Let me show just one screenshot of that, because we already talked about that last week, but they now have a new feature which has been added.
We did talk about it last week. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, no problem. But last week we talked about the fact that they can make a podcast based on all kinds of documents. But the super cool addition that they now have is what you see here. You can just upload a YouTube link. And I'm sure that many people of us have tried to copy a link and even put it in Gemini and ask for a transcription of that. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. They have now finally get it together. Gemini can take any YouTube link, make it a part of Notebook, and then you can literally interact with the video. You can ask it questions. You can have a complete transcript of it. You can have a podcast of it, basically. So a smaller narration of the video that might be longer. So a lesson, really great for digesting information. Sorry, I was
okay. So Patrick, just that I understand you correctly, you can upload the YouTube link to NotebookLM and then interact with it, or are you saying if you upload the YouTube link to Gemini, you can interact with it, but if you upload it to NotebookLM, it will turn it into a podcast?
Yes, directly. I have tried it out this morning, so I even have a link behind, so I can show you that.
So that's a yes to the latter. Okay.
Yes, yes to the latter, indeed. So I've put a video in here. This was just a small 15-minute video of Yuval Harari, and I can load the conversation.
Oh, and that start typing in the bottom is where you can interact with the content.
Yeah, you can ask questions here. So what I did, actually, there was a video from Sabine Hossenfelder, who's, by the way, a nice recommendation. She also has fun videos. And I have a frequently asked questions to the guide. This was already existing functionality, but now you can just take as a source a complete YouTube video. And here you go.
So get this. We're talking about Yuval Noah Harari and like alien intelligences.
Really? Alien intelligence? I mean, he is a pretty big
thinker, but
Yeah. Well, not actually.
Well, that's about it. But,
Yeah.
but
Okay,
we'll
awesome.
but play with this.
Yeah. So little tip on the side there. If you're using Google Gemini, if you have the workplace edition, you cannot give it any YouTube videos. It will not tell you anything. It won't work. This is just another example which I've complained about many times before, where Google simply doesn't make features available that are available to free consumers using a Gmail account. Google One and Gemini through Google One will allow you to search and interact with YouTube videos. But if you have Google Workplace and you're a paying customer, you don't have access. I will never understand this. But if you're wondering why it's not working for you, if you're using a Workplace account, that's why.
Hey, and maybe to wrap it up, one last thing. I will write an article about Yuval Noah Harari's last book, Nexus. I finally got through it, 450 pages. And the fact that I finally got through it says something about the book itself, right? I know that Homo sapiens, when I got that in my hand, I took it with me on a nice weekend in Paris. And I was alone in Paris. I wanted to do some museums. I had 3 days alone and I took that book everywhere. I just didn't want to put it down. That's how impactful that book was. This one is most certainly not bad, but it's filled with so many small details back in history, which I don't blame him. He's an historian. But it kind of clutters a little bit of story. And it's interesting. I'm really interested to hear your opinion further down the line about this book, Aragorn, because some things that you have discussed now during this call, this book basically is a warning, a big warning about the dangers of AI. You clearly have a different point of view on that. It's interesting. I will make a complete write-up, post it as an article, and also make it part of the newsletter so people can read it. It still is a recommendation, but it's not an easy read for people to go through.
Well, I'll say this now. I think it's always good to have a lot of different perspectives. I already felt that Yuval Harari was going down the road of more of a doomer, which is what is the official name for this group of people that believe AI has a very high risk of getting us all annihilated and extinct. I don't think that that's fair. I think that people are just overly negative. We have a negativity bias as humans. These people particularly. The more you know, the more obstacles you see is also very real. The same goes for Jeffrey Hinton, one of the godfathers of AI. On the other side, there's a group of scientists that are very much in depth in the knowledge, and they are underestimating how fast things are going. I'm finally nearly at the end of AI 2041 now by Kai-Fu Lee, which is actually already from 2018, I think. And it's incredible to see that on the one hand, he was so visionary in seeing what's coming. And on the other hand, there's so many examples of where he is completely off, underestimating the speed of progress. And you can see things that exist today that he talked about would exist in 2041 in his book and he was an insider even at the time, right? He knew way more than the general public. And he still was off, not just by a few years, but by over almost 2 decades. So it's always hard to judge, but I think that we have no choice but to try and be optimistic, because ultimately how we look at the world, what we expect from the world, will also to a large extent decide how the world takes shape. That's what we do together. So our outlook will have a significant impact on the reality. That's what I'll say about that.
Let's close on that. And it also, basically what you're now saying in your final 2 sentences is also the conclusion of that book by Yuval Noah Harari. It's very much a plea to keep on critical thinking and using information and intelligence to get to truth. And once we have truth, there is less reason for people to have conflicts. And that is something to cling on to and stay positive about, right?
I like it. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. So that's it for now.
That's it for now.
Before I roll the outro jingle, which I have no idea what it's going to be, so it's going to be excited. But if you find value in today's content, make sure to like and subscribe to our newsletter. Of course, go and check us out on social media. You can find us almost anywhere at Innovation Network. That would tremendously help us out, make a massive difference in our growing our channels and reaching more people to provide them with more value as we head into the exponential future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Innovation at a Patrick and Aragorn lead the way. Exploring tech's future, what will they say? Inspiring change with vision so bright. Our hosts guide you through the future's light. Bridging the gap of exponential growth. Patrick and Aragorn share the truth. Join our community, let's innovate. With Innovation Network, create a brighter fate.
Professional fade out. See you later.
See you later.